So I was tagged by Luke from Razor Wire Reviews, who there'll be a link at the end of this video for if you want to go and check out his videos, and I suggest you do. And this is My Life in Movies tag. Now, I think I'm kind of last to the show on this one, so I won't tag anybody in particular, but if you haven't done it and you want to, feel free. So let's just get started with question number 1. First steps, the first movie you remember seeing as a child. Now, a story that I've been told, and I kind of half remember it, is when I was a lot younger, and this was before like PC parenting came into account. I used to rewatch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we're talking I was around about 3 or 4, probably not the ideal material for a young toddler, but I used to repeatedly watch this constantly, and whenever it got put off without it finishing, I would scream my head off until I got to watch the end of it. But I can only remember fractions of that. I can't really remember it at all, and I don't know if it's people telling me the story or if I do actually remember it. But if I had to choose the movie that I first remember seeing, it would either have to be Indiana Jones, a James Bond, or a Star Wars, because my dad always used to show me these movies. I remember them always being on throughout my childhood. So I would say it's going to be one of those ones, although I can't pinpoint it any further than that. Number 2 is Teenage Crush. Which actor or actress did you have a crush on when you were younger? That one is easy. Jennifer Connelly, Labyrinth. I used to watch that movie religiously, and she was my crush. Number 3 is Bad Choices, Good Outcome, a movie that you went into expecting it to suck, but it actually won you over. The movie that I was determined I was going to hate was the Evil Dead remake. I am a huge Evil Dead fan. I love everything, and I was just like, no, this is not my Ash, this is not my generation's movie. I am not going to like this. I'm going to go and see it, and then that way I can just tear it down. And it turned out to be actually all right. Not as good as the original movies, because I'm still an Evil Dead fanboy, but I had fun with it. What more can you ask? Number 4 is First Date. What was a movie that I saw on my first date? Well, that's an easy one because it's very memorable for me, and that is What Lies Beneath. A movie that I've never revisited since, and there's probably a story to go with that, but this just isn't the time or the place for that story. Number 5 is Home Comforts. What movie reminds you of time with your family? I've got a few movies for this. It can be any James Bond, it can be any Indiana Jones, or it can be The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Every one of those movies is movies that I spent watching them with my dad, and it was good moments. It was movies he introduced me to, and I just absolutely loved. So any of those movies just remind me of time with my dad, watching movies, and just having a great time. First Heartbreak. What movie upset you or affected you more than you thought in initial watch? For me, that movie was Old Boy. That had a really weird effect on me. Not the kind of thing you would expect in an answer to be, but that movie stuck with me. I've seen it once or twice in my life. It always sticks with me as the pure negative aspect of human emotions and vengeance, and just the horrible lengths that people will go to hurt other people. It's a horrible movie. The core ethos of the movie is just terrible, and the final scenes are horrific. And it's a movie that just stuck with me. Leaving Home. What was the first movie you watched without your family? That's an easy one for me. I can remember it quite clearly, and it's Blazing Saddles. I wanted to see it. Nobody else wanted to see it, so I stormed off in a huff to my room and watched it. I can't remember what age I was, but I was young, and I laughed my ass off at it, and I still love Blazing Saddles to today. It's a great movie. Number 8 is Good Times. What movie do you watch the most and why? A couple of movies I've seen a lot. I particularly remember watching Scream in the mid-90s. Look, every day I watched Scream. I watched it a lot because I was big into slasher horror movies. It kind of reinvented the genre, and it was a terrific movie. And I watched that constantly for what seemed like almost a year or two, just every single day. More recently, I don't rewatch movies as much, but when there's something that hits me, I tend to go on a binge of it. And 2 movies recently that I watched a lot was The Raid 2. I thought the action in it was terrific, and it had this really cinematic look to it, and I've watched that a good bit. But one that I've watched a little bit more is The Guest. I think it's a terrific movie, and it's one that I show people whenever we're over at my house. I'm like, have you seen The Guest? Well, let's just throw it on. And I love to watch people's reaction to it because they're never quite sure where it's going to go, and everybody seems to love it. Learn a new language. What's your favourite non-English language movie? Now, there's a lot of classics here that I haven't seen that I've picked up that I need to get and watch, and I'm trying to rack my brain thinking of one. And the ones that pop into my head are The Raid 2 and Old Boy, but they're kind of more modern things. And I just can't seem to pinpoint one down as my favourite non-language, but one that I had a lot of fun with, I thought it was one of the best comedies that I've seen in years, and this one's probably going to come as a surprise, is Clown. And if you haven't seen Clown, there's a sequel just coming out, I can't wait to see that. It's a riotously funny, inappropriate, but just downright great comedy movie. Now, there's so many other ones that I could have put on here, but I thought that was a bit left field. And it just the first one that popped into my head, to be fair. Number 10 is Can't Leave the Sofa. Which TV series got you hooked? There was a couple that I just had to mainline when they came on. 24 was the first one, the first season anyway. There was a couple of ropey seasons after that, but I had to mainline that. Alias was another one that I just thought was terrific, but it kind of faded off near the end. One that I just had to put on the next episode, I needed to find out what was going to happen next, was Prison Break. Even through the rocky 4th season, I just had to keep on watching that thing. It was addictive. I would sit up till 3, 4 in the morning, and I had work the next day at 8. And as I was watching it, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But I couldn't turn it off. It was a terrific show. I've not watched the kind of make sequel type thing, but I'm going to at some point. Probably on a holiday, so I don't need to sit up late and force myself to go to work. Number 11 is Sick Day. Which movie do you watch when you're feeling ill and want to feel a little bit better? For me, it's pretty much comedy movies. Any kind of comedy movie when I'm feeling ill. I may not be able to laugh or just smirk, but it just kind of warms me a little bit and cheers me up. Movies that I kind of ritualistically stick on when I'm unwell are things like Caddyshack, Old School, Road Trip, the American Pie movies. Hell, even The New Guy I stick on every now and again. Those kind of ilka movies are comfort watches, things that I do not need to concentrate on. I can doze on and off, wake up and just get right back into the story. They don't have stories. They just wake up and continue back into the movie. Number 12, which movie am I most looking forward to? This was a hard one because there's so many movies that I'm really looking forward to. But I think the one, and if I had to pick the one, it would be Logan Lucky. I'm a huge Steven Soderbergh fan. He kind of gave us that fake retirement a few years ago, and he's back yet again. His movies are always worth something. There's always something rewarding or spectacular about them, and I can't wait to see Logan Lucky. If only, what old movie would you like to see being remade? Now, I'm not one of these people that really hates remakes. You know, they are their own thing. They don't ruin my childhood. The original movie is still going to be there. And in fact, sometimes it enhances the original movie. You get like a brand new remastered Blu-ray with all these extras of the original movie because the new one's coming out. So one movie that I would pick to be remade would be The Last Starfighter. Now, if it turned out to be good or bad, so be it. It doesn't matter. But what I really want is a super duper remastered Blu-ray, UHD, full of all kinds of crazy extras of that movie. And if the remake allowed that to happen, so be it, because I still get that movie, and that's the one that I really want to have. Number 14 is End of the Road. Which 3 movies do you always think you will keep watching? That's actually a kind of easy one for me. I think it's going to be The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, The Usual Suspects, and Jaws. 3 of my favourite movies. Movies that I will always go back to, that always hook me within the first couple of minutes of putting them on. Ones that I've seen countless times and I just absolutely adore. So Luke, thanks for tagging me in this. And of course, remember, click his link that will pop up in a wee minute. And I will see you next time on Man vs. Film.